Casey, do you like this fit for Philly, getting Sam Bradford potentially?
In his rookie season, during like the first 8 games of his rookie season, up to that point, he was the best rookie quarterback I had ever broken down on tape. So I'm talking about Sam Bradford when he was with the Rams. I mean, he was that good early on. I'd never seen a guy read defenses so well. His accuracy was fantastic. He didn't feel any pressure in the pocket. You look at what his production was when he was with, when he was in college. You look at his production last year before he got hurt. This guy has upper tier talent. He is a potential franchise quarterback if you could keep him healthy and get him in the right system. So I'm a big Sam Bradford backer, to put it simply.
All right. Obviously, the one question would be Chip Kelly. Does he fit Chip Kelly's offense? Is this the right fit for him coming to Philadelphia, running this Chip Kelly system?
I certainly wouldn't want to see him running the football because given his injury history, I certainly wouldn't want to see him running the football that much. But then again, it's one thing about Kelly is, that he does run his system and he does like a running quarterback, but he's not always had a quarterback who can run the ball really well. And his system is still about making the right reads. And Bradford's a guy who's going to make the right reads. So it's rare that you're going to get a guy of his caliber of talent on your team. So fine, you become maybe a bit more, maybe you don't have the quarterback running ability, but if he can do all the things in the passing game that we know Bradford can do, and he knows how to read the defenses, and he makes sure to hand the ball off at the right times when the defense says that's what you should do, I think it could be a huge upgrade for the Eagles.
Casey Joyner, ESPN.com. Adam Schefter reporting Bradford to Philly, Foles to St. Louis. Do you think Bradford a better fit than Foles in Philly? I mean, Foles had a pretty good year, but is he a better fit? Of course, that was 2 years ago. Is he a better fit than Foles is in Philadelphia?
I think Foles, what we saw last year, is probably more what he actually is. If it was the 2013 Foles, no, I would think Foles would probably be the better player just because you can't go through a season and lead the league in my bad decision rate metric without being really good at reading defenses, presumably. But last year, defenses kind of caught up with the system, and he wasn't nearly as good. Bradford's a guy. He's been reading defenses very well since his Oklahoma days. His Oklahoma numbers, by the way, in his last season there were just phenomenal, fantastic, out of this world vertical numbers. As I said, in his rookie season, he was as good a rookie quarterback as I had seen up to that point. And even last year, when you look at his production, you look at how well he was playing before he got hurt, I mean, he was playing at an upper tier level. So, yeah, I think the ceiling on where he can be if he stays healthy is I think he could be a franchise quarterback. I just don't know that what we saw out of Foles in 2013 wasn't the absolute best we could see out of him, and you're pretty much going to go a little downhill from there, and you're not going to have as high of a ceiling as you were with Bradford. So I like the move a lot.
All right, so Casey Joyner endorsing the move here, and, of course, we don't know all the particulars, but it's obviously Bradford coming to Philly, Foles going to the Rams. I think the Eagles are sending the Rams some picks. We'll get some details in the next couple of moments. Let's look at some of the other things. Did you like Frank Gore as a fit for Philadelphia? He obviously not coming here, but did they miss out now because they don't have Gore?
Gore was still productive last year. His good blocking yards per attempt, which is my measurement of how productive a running back is, and you give him good blocking, was 8.2 yards. It's still a very good number. Usually 9 to 10 is going to lead the league, and 7.5 is the league average. So he's above average productivity when you give him good blocking. I like the fact that he's a veteran, and we were talking last week about the Eagles. They're cutting loose some of their veterans, and hey, you really want to keep some veteran leadership in the locker room. He'd be a guy who could do that for him. So I liked his fit from that perspective, but it is a short-term move because once you start getting as much wear and tear as he has over his career, you look at NFL history, not many guys go much further than he has. So I think you'd be looking at it from a 1 or 2 year perspective. So not getting him is not good, but it's not a crusher either.
Yeah, I kind of like Gore. I wonder, though, when the wheels fall off. At what carry at 30 years old do all of a sudden, boom, he kind of falls apart? Are there any interesting free agents at running back still out there that you think that Philadelphia would be a good fit for? Because it seems like Kelly is looking more. He was interested in Mark Ingram. He likes, obviously, Frank Gore. So the C.J. Spiller type of guy, the Justin Forsett type of guy, doesn't seem like that's what he's looking for.
No, it doesn't. I mean, I do like Forsett from a standpoint of he was highly productive last year. This guy's pushing 9 yards and good blocking yards per attempt. I mean, that's how the kind of impact Forsett can make. He doesn't have much wear and tear, and I'm always somebody who's more of the mindset of don't look at running backs where their age is necessarily. You want to look at where their wear and tear is, because if you look over NFL history, the wear and tear is the big issue. You can be young and have a ton of carries and you can still fall apart, or you can be older and have not many carries and you can still stay productive. So I like Forsett. I don't think that's who he would go for. There's not many other backs out there. He's not going to, obviously not going to go for DeMarco Murray and Forsett if they don't go for him. They've got, John Kuhn's a fullback, not going to go for him. Ryan Matthews, you can't keep him healthy. Could you see a guy like Reggie Bush? Maybe, potentially. I mean, I could see somebody like that. So there are some people, but you got to remember that if they don't pick up a running back here, the draft is really deep with quality running back prospects, so maybe they'll look to go that direction. Yeah,
the running back spot is probably one of the easier ones in the NFL to fill. So if you don't get your guy here, you can probably go in free agency. They got Chris Polk and obviously Darren Sproles still in the mix, probably more of a three-headed monster. But moving on to Jeremy Maclin here, he goes to Kansas City, which kind of leaves Philadelphia with not a lot of options here. Are there guys on the market that you like for Philly? And what did you think of Maclin fitting in with, obviously he's been in Andy's system before?
The Kansas City Chiefs had the second lowest number of vertical pass attempts last year, vertical being passes to go 11 or more yards downfield. They were second to last in the league in that category. So, adding a guy like Maclin, who can be a vertical threat, has been a very good vertical threat over his career, will maybe let Kansas City, they could potentially double that number. I'm not saying they will, but they could add. They can move from 32nd to say the middle of the road in that category. So that's a really big upgrade for them. As far as what the Eagles could do, I'm looking. I happen to like Torrey Smith as a vertical threat, but one of the things about Chip Kelly is he wants his wide receivers to be, he wants them to be able to block too, because it's still going to be a run-first offense. And I don't know that Torrey Smith's going to be a great blocker. I don't think he's a bad blocker. I don't think he can be a great blocker. I look at a guy like Michael Crabtree. I think he could fit, but there's a durability question mark there too. You got Denarius Moore's another highly rated free agent, but he's a guy who just runs 9 routes. So I don't see anybody out there who just says, "Wow, this is somebody who's going to be a great fit." But if you're looking just from a vertical perspective, I'd go to Torrey Smith.
I was going to ask you, you got Torrey Smith, you mentioned Crabtree there. What about Percy Harvin, who just got released by the Jets? Do you think he's a good fit? But obviously the one thing about him is it seems Kelly's measurables that Harvin wouldn't fit that. I mean, he's a 5'11 guy, not this bigger guy. But do you think his skill set would fit well here?
I think, he could do some of the things. I mean, you could look at say Darren Sproles. I mean, as far as, talking measurable, Sproles isn't a very big guy, but his skill set fits good in the offense because, Harvin has, he's technically wide receiver, but he spent time in the backfield. He spent time in the backfield in college, too. So he's a guy who you could move around and do things with. His thing, again, is do we want to sign somebody who's got durability questions? And that's one of the things about Kelly is I think he looks at guys, not only can your skills fit my system, but I'm going to ask you to play a lot of plays, and I want you to be able to be out there. I think he really puts a high value on durability, and you look at somebody like Harvin, he just, that's something that he just does not pass no matter how you slice it.
Let's go to Brandon Graham. He comes back to Philly. Were you surprised? Do you think he's a good fit for Philly's defense? A lot of teams thought that if he got more play, that he'd be even more productive than he already was.
Yeah, I think that's probably what the Eagles are thinking too. That if they, that they might be able to. Remember, the thing about Kelly is, and this is something that, if you look back to his days at Oregon, he used to have a crew of like 17, 18 people on defense that would be his starting defenders. I mean, even though he had a starting 11, he wanted to rotate everybody out, not just defensive linemen. He wanted to rotate linebackers out, wanted to rotate secondary people out, and his whole thing was play at 100% on every single play. And, we'll rotate you and keep you fresh when you get tired. I don't think you could do quite to that depth in the NFL, but I think when you look at somebody like Graham, you say, hey, this is a guy that maybe he says, I want you to play every play that you can. I want you to go all out all you can, and I want to keep you on the field as long as possible. But if I've got to rotate you out, I have to rotate you out. But I think he thinks, hey, given how much play we gave you, you were very productive. I think that's really what he's looking for is how impactful can you be when we do put you out there.
All right, ESPN.com's NFL insider Casey Joyner. Last guy to take a look at, Byron Maxwell. We talked about him a lot over the last couple of weeks. One question people have here, is he a significant upgrade over Kerry Williams? He gets $63 million to come to Philly. Williams gets $18 million to go to Seattle. Did Seattle get a better deal?
Seattle plays more of a system defense, and the Eagles are going to play a defense where they're going to leave their guys on islands a bit more and such, I think. And but here's the thing. I think the Eagles also look at it from a standpoint of when we get our defense playing the way that we want to play defense, which is where our offense works and forces the other team to play a lot of fast break offense of its own. The other team is passing the ball a lot. When that happens and they're in pass-first mode, the other offenses we'll be able to pin our ears back and rush the passer, and we'll have guys like Maxwell who can go in the secondary and cover knowing the ball's going to go in the air, and they can make some picks, because that's really what Kelly looks for, sacks and picks. He's looking for big plays on defense. I think Maxwell's a guy who can cover well, he can pick well, and I think he will fit this defense very well when it gets to be where Chip Kelly wants it to be.
All right, Casey Joyner here is a busy day, and obviously people wanting to weigh in on Nick Foles being traded, so we'll cut a little short here. The normal, Casey, appreciate all the information, and of course, we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds great, man.